What's up, Porsche fanatics? Will here with Rennthusiast. If you are here asking yourself the question, what makes the 993 so good? I got good news for you, because I'm here to tell you what does make the Porsche 911 993 so good. The car behind me is a 95 Coupe in polar silver, black interior, a 6-speed manual, of course. All due respect to those out there who have a tip. I would never own a tip, man. These cars gotta be manual. The car has 110,000 miles on it. When I bought it, it had 98,000. I've had it for about a year and a half, so I've had it long enough to really learn the car, know the car, hammer on the car, put money into the car, and now I am getting ready to share with you the 10 things I like most about this car. And then at the end of this video, I'm going to share with you the one single reason that I'm giving serious thought to selling it. Before I jump into the reasons and a little bit more information about this car, I'd like to invite you to subscribe to my channel. I cover Porsche 911 ownership content, Porsche 911 owner interviews, and Porsche culture. So if that's your kind of thing, join me. This car here really is good. I have a couple of other 911s. I have a 2007 911 Turbo, and I also have that 86 Carrera up there. And the 993 really is, I'm gonna go ahead and admit it, it's my favorite 911 that I own. It's a great all-arounder. The car's driver quality, I don't hesitate to just jump in it and go on road trips with buddies. That is a very appealing aspect of this car. It's the last of the air-cooled, so if you're watching this video, I'm gonna guess that you have some sort of a passing knowledge of Porsche 911s. This is the last of the air-cooled generation, and then they did switch to water-cooled. That's a little background on the car. Let me get into the 10 reasons I love this car. So reason number one is the interior layout, as simple as this is. So if you've ever sat in one of these cars, it is absolutely unmistakable. When you get into these vintage 911s, you'll see that the dashboard is very, very vertical. There's nothing there that you don't need, only what you do need. But yet the kind of the layout, the button location, it's kind of quirky, and the buttons aren't necessarily always where you think they should be. And so it took me a little while to get used to that, but there's just something so appealing to me about having that simple layout. As you move forward in the 911s, you'll start to get that more like that horizontal sloping dash, kind of center stack feel to the more modern cars. But you know, you get into these older 911s and man, you just have that horizontal dash, kind of nothing underneath it but the gear shifter, which I absolutely love. Second thing I love about this 993 is the exhaust. So I'm running a Pfister Stage 2 exhaust, and I gotta say this is, and I've owned a lot of cars across a lot of different brands, this is the best exhaust note I've ever been able to get out of a car. When the car showed up, it was louder than it is today. So the previous owner, who by the way, I'm still in touch with, a very cool guy, he had put a FabSpeed X pipe on the car, plus the Pfister Stage 2 exhaust. And I gotta say, like, I like loud exhausts, but man, this was super loud. It was too much. I mean, it almost sounded like a muscle car. So I pulled the X pipe off, sold it for $1,000. I was pleased about that. Now I'm just running the Pfister Stage 2, and so it is, quite frankly, badass. Love it. A good friend of mine who has a beautiful slate gray 993, he's running a Pfister Stage 3 exhaust. It's a little bit louder, a little bit meaner. So if you own a 993 and you're considering an exhaust upgrade, I would look at the Stage 2 or the Stage 3 Pfister. Reason number 3 that I love my 993, it's the stance. So I am running PSS 10 coilovers on this car, and they were not cheap to put on. I believe they were somewhere maybe $4,500 installed. In my opinion, the PSS 10 coilover upgrade for the Porsche 911 993 is the single best mod that I have ever done to any car I've owned. The reason that I say that, there's two reasons. Number one, it took the performance from here to here. The car feels so planted. It is almost just, it's like this go-kart feeling when you're going through twisties. I, by the way, am not afraid to push this car through the mountains at high rates of speed, and the car feels so planted. All due respect to you guys out there who might be running stock suspension on your 993. Mine came with stock. And you know, for me, it looks like it's on stilts. I'm an anti-wheel gap guy, period. So you know, I had to get that stock suspension off. I did run the stock suspension for a while. I went to a road rally with the stock on it, and you know, I was driving the car in a spirited way. And the car did stick. Obviously, you know, straight from the Porsche factory, it's going to be very capable, but it felt like it had body roll going on. So when I put the PSS 10s on the car, like that was eliminated, so the performance became next level. The second reason I think that the PSS 10s are so fantastic, I love the lowered look, and I love just how tight my 285 rear tires are to the fenders. So, I mean, it's almost tough to put a credit card between the top of the tire and the fender. And it's so tight, it looks so good. I mean, sometimes I look at it, I'll put my finger, you know, in the tire, in the wheel gap there, and it won't fit, but I'm astounded that I don't get rubbing. So I love the PSS 10s. So that's reason number 3. I love the car is the stance. So reason number 4 that I love my 993, and this is gonna be a little bit odd, but if you were a Porsche guy or a Porsche gal, you're gonna appreciate this. It's the smell, right? So you get into one of these old Porsche 911s and it's unmistakable. There's like this oil smell, there's this leather smell. As I shared with you earlier, I've owned a lot of cars in my, you know, obsessive car collecting, experiencing, selling career, and there's just not been anything quite like it. The 86 has its own unique smell, but it's different from the 993. So as difficult as a smell is to share with you on camera, I'm not gonna be able to do it. Just trust me when I say it's a very unique feature of these 993s. I think if you, you know, if you ask other owners, they'll tell you the same thing. So it's almost kind of like this inside joke of, hey, listen, if you know it, you gotta get in one to experience it. Reason number 5 that I love my 993, the size. The car is so compact. You know, you kind of lose sight of just how small it is when you're driving it regularly. It really hit me when I picked up my 2007 Porsche 911 Turbo. I picked it up from a seller about 6 hours for me. I drove that car home, so I had a ton of windshield time in that car. And you know, when I got home, I immediately jumped in my 993. I was experiencing air-cooled withdrawal. When I got in the car, it really did feel like a little kind of go-kart. It felt so much smaller. So it's so compact. You know, it just kind of gives you that nostalgic sense of this is how these 911s used to be back in the old days. And yes, they became a little bit larger through each generation. And I've not driven a brand new 911 yet, but I can only imagine that this 993 would feel so much smaller after getting in one of those newer cars. So I love the size of this car. Reason number 6 I love my 993 is the gearbox. And so I've done quite a bit of content on the 915 that I have on my 86. And obviously that's a very, very different transmission in many ways than is in this 993. Talking about the 993 G50 derivative, I think it is so clean, it is so nice to drive. I do have a new clutch in the car, and it's hard to describe to you verbally. It's almost like you would need to experience it, but like the clutch engagement point is so tight and the gears shift so well that you know, it's just like butter, right? The car is running a goldenrod as well as a short shift kit, and that's what came on the car, so I can't really tell you what it felt like coming stock, but I can tell you that I just love the way the gearbox shifts. There's nothing quite like downshifting it, rev matching it, and punching it. I'm telling you, like, that is one of my top 3 joys in life, is diving into a tight 90-degree twisty in the mountains and hammering on that gas coming out of it. Love the gearbox in the 993. Reason number 7 I love my 993 is that it is a higher mileage example. It is a driver quality car. Now, there are some issues with the paint and a couple cosmetic things with the car that are bothering me. I did a video on that a couple weeks ago, talking about paint issues, cosmetic issues, seal issues that I'm experiencing with it. And so it sounds a little bit like a paradox, right? I love that it can withstand stone chips, but I kind of hate that there are paint issues. But all that being said, I have fallen into the trap of wanting and owning garage queens, and there's something so freeing about having this 993 with 110,000 miles on it with paint issues that I can just take on back roads, follow buddies closely, and have stones flying at me and not be too worried about it. If you're thinking about getting a 993, depending on what your intended use is, I really would not overlook higher mileage cars as long as they're well documented, because there's something fun about just using the hell out of this car the way it's intended to be used. Reason number 8 I love my 993 are the wheels that I've selected for this car. So the car came with Cup 2s. Those are 17-inch wheels. Of course, they're period correct for the car. I have buddies who run them and who love them. I don't necessarily like them. I mean, how about this? I like them, I don't love them. I don't think that they look as good as an 18-inch wheel does. So one of the first things I did is I went out and looked on the PCA classifieds until I found a set of MY02 996 wheels for sale and was able to score them. The nice thing about the MY02s is they are 18 inches, so they're a little bit larger, and they're also super reasonable in terms of how much they're going for used. So I don't know, that's just my personal preference. MY02 wheels, but that's reason number 8 that I love my 993. Reason number 9 that I love the 993 are the gauges, right? So this is not necessarily unique to the 993. It's certainly an air-cooled thing, but I just love those round gauges and how they lay out across the dash. They look very vintage, they look very antique. And you know, there's just something really appealing about that, at least for me personally. When I first got the car and I kind of got over the disbelief that I actually had bought one of these, I slid in there, and as I shared with you, reason number 1 I love the car was just how the interior laid out. But man, my eyes were like just drawn to the gauges. Now I'm gonna talk to you a little bit about my gauges, right? I have taken a little bit of flack in the comments about tilting my gauges. So I have the tack tilted and I have the speedo tilted. By tilting the tack, I can kind of see the red line a little bit better out of my peripheral vision, which is helpful when you're hammering on it and you really need to keep your eyes on the road. And the reason I have the speedo turned is because at highway speeds, when it is cocked correctly, the 70, 80, 90 mark is hidden by the steering wheel, so it's hard to keep an eye on your speed. So anyway, that's reason number 9 I love my 993 is the look and the feel of the gauges. Reason number 10 that I love my 993 is the air-cooled Porsche culture it introduced me to. I have experienced many different brands and many different car cultures, but this one is very, very unique. The people involved in this group are very passionate about the cars. There seems to be this underlying belief that these cars are meant to be driven, which I love. And also there's kind of this very cool, mysterious vibe around modifying. And of course, there's the whole vintage end of things with the deep and rich history Porsche has. So love the air-cooled Porsche culture and community. So if you haven't been to an air-cooled Porsche event, by the way, I strongly recommend you check it out. On the front end of this video, I promised you I'd tell you the one single reason I'm thinking about selling this car. So you may be asking yourself, like, what the hell are you talking about, man? You just said there are 10 reasons why you love your 993. Here's why. I wish my car were a little bit more special. My car is an understated base Carrera 2 993 Coupe. It is polar silver, as you can see, not a really eye-catching color. It's super easy to take care of, but it's just not that special. The interior being black, very, very expected, very typical, not very special either. So, on the one hand, I love the utility of the car. I've shared with you all the 10 reasons I love it. But that one piece just kind of bothers me. I have modded the car somewhat. I haven't really done anything to it cosmetically outside of the suspension and wheels. I do own a turbo bumper. It's gonna cost me some money to get that put on, so I'm kind of hesitant to do that. So yeah, I'm just kind of struggling there. If you care to give a struggling Porsche guy any advice about what you would do if you were in my shoes, sell the car or just keep the car and drive the hell out of it, let me know. Here's what I do know. If I sold this 993, without question, I would immediately be looking for another 993 to come in behind it, perhaps a more rare spec. So there you have it. I hope this video has been beneficial to you somehow. I have really been motivated by the positive comments I've gotten lately around my Porsche 911 ownership, interview videos, and videos just like this. So, please subscribe to the channel. I'm working hard on it. I will tell you too that I am cooking up a Pelican Parts gift card giveaway to help me get to 10,000 subs. Appreciate you checking out this video, and I'm out of here.